Okay. So Dwarika, I will start with your giving a little understanding of economics that you had with your graduation. Like you have to brief the all the economics learning that you had in your graduation.
So my graduation comprised of subjects in economics like microeconomics on intermediate and introductory levels, and macroeconomics on introductory and intermediate levels. I also studied mathematical methods in economics, statistical methods in economics, econometrics, and then Indian economy, development economics, financial economics, international economics. So the basic economics is microeconomics, and the statistical part of it, that is econometrics, and all of the rest are the derived branches from microeconomics like macroeconomics, and then they further get divided into all other types of economics like experimental economics, developmental economics, Indian in India specifically, and political economics, uh, and all the other branches. The microeconomics comprises of an individual level economics, like the firms, as a consumer, like a specific consumer producer, their demand, their supply, how firms operate, how they manage their costs, prices, revenues. Macroeconomics comprises of the economy as a whole, like aggregate demand, aggregate supply, monetary policies, fiscal policies, how they adjust to different shocks and adverse shocks and positive shocks. And it also includes the classical and Keynesian approach to it. And other than that, how financial crises happen, the asset price bubbles they form. And in the econometrics includes of the models, the economic models, and solving them with the test statistics and the deriving values from the tables. In Indian economy, Indian economy introduced us to the history of economics in India after the independence, how the Nehru-Mahana-Lobis model was applied, how it was derived, the everything that followed after it ensued, and all the problems that India has faced so far relating to economics, be it population, food, health, education, all of that. In development economics, we studied about different, like in inequalities, poverty, the demography of a country, including the birth rates, death rates, age structure, mortality rates, human capital, and migration. In financial economics, we studied about different uh, types of instruments that there are in the economy, like forwards, futures, options, call options, and put options. And in international economics, different models and theories about foreign exchange rate and theories about the factors and how they get divided between different sectors, like one factor in multiple sectors, multiple factors in multiple sectors, and so on.
Okay. So Dwarika, you talked about the different type of recession that we have also financial slowdowns we have also studied. So and currently we are also facing a slowdown due to the lockdown and other COVID related restrictions. Can you compare the recession of 2008, the last recession that we had, the subprime crisis, and the recession that we are having right now? So please try to compare these two.
So the financial crisis in 2008 happened because of an asset price bubble, which is also caused by two reasons. One of them is the credit boom, wherein uh, where due to financial liberalization or financial innovation, the managers of the securities who are not very well equipped with the knowledge to manage those new innovations, take risky steps or make risky investments in a bid to earn more profit. And if they work well, they walk away with profits. And if they don't, they are anyway secured by the government insurance. So, and just in case they lose the money, they have less skin in the game as their net worth reduces. So they are tempted to make more risky investments in more risky ventures to earn profits. So that leads to a credit. That leads to an asset price bubble creation. The other one is a pure speculation gone wrong by the investors. So that was created in the US at that time. And because these increase in investments are not supported or backed by any economical value of the securities, so when they burst, these asset bubbles burst, it leads to falling trust amongst the public in the financial institutions like the banks, which are the backbone of the financial economy, and increased withdrawals of the funds that take place. So that's what happened in the 2008 financial crisis. Right now in India, um, it's not caused because of an asset price bubble burst or that. It's because of the reduced demand. When the demand is reduced, the interest rates, when the demand is reduced, the output also reduces, and it makes the economy slack. So there is a need for the demand to be pushed, like reduced interest rates, or uh, the central bank needs to inject liquidity into the market so that the demand goes up and hence the output does. So the economy picks up again, which was also done by the various direct benefit transfers or many other transfers that were made by the government.
Okay. So, Barika, when we talk about recession, and you said that there could be many policies intervention can be there. So from the government side. So what RBI, what are the policies, or what are the uh, interventions that RBI can make in order to bring back the policies, bring
So,
back the development on track?
so the RBI can affect the money supply in the economy by the open market operations. It can only implement the monetary policy. The fiscal policy is totally in the hands of the government, and it can do that by open market operations. Like if it starts buying the securities, it will put liquidity into the market, which is called using the cheap money policy. And there is also, that's how it also controls inflation. There is also flexible inflation targeting in our country, which says that the inflation has to be 4%, but there is a band of plus minus 2 just because of the disruptions in the supply from OPEC countries in oil and in petrol and crude oil, etc. So also that it is directly related to the consumer price index, so that the direct effect that happens onto the consumers is assessed by the policymakers. So the RBI will have to increase the money supply so that interest rates will reduce and the people will have more money at their disposal. They will the demand will increase and the investments will
So,
increase, which
you just said that RBI can disperse more money, and bank will have in recent times due to demonetization. And I'm connecting the 2 points. Due to demonetization, many people have started putting their money in banks again and are not having cash uh, money with them. And again, with Jan Dhan Yojana or other similar schemes, uh, many people have started opening their accounts now, keeping the minimum amount of saving in the bank also, because the minimum amount for saving account has also been increased. And due to this, there are surplus amount of money with banks, and they are trying to uh, push this money in loan formats. So, and again, we also see that there are industrialists who have taken many matlab thousands of crores of money as loan, and they are not paying back to the bank. So how do you think, or do you think that loan mechanism that banks have, loan giving and getting back the money from the loan takers? So can you comment on this? Like, uh, what in what different way, or in what different way we can think of the system so that the money from of course, any money which is gone waste is the loss of taxpayers of the national money also. So can you
So,
alternate arrangement for that?
so an alternate arrangement for not letting the banks lend to bad credit risks.
हाँ, मतलब like uh, in what way banks should give loan, or should they even give loan to industrialist or not? No. Or the way they are pushing loans to many subprime customers which were not even eligible for loan. So again, we have seen that 2008 crisis was the result of subprime loan, yeah, event. So can we have some check, or can we even think in another way to deal with this situation?
So there is one way that it's the straight problem of asymmetric information and moral hazards. And asymmetric information is actually caused by two reasons: adverse selection and moral hazard. Adverse selection is what happens before the transaction. That means it's for the banks to check who the bad credit risks are and who the good credit risks are. This can be seen in a way that a person who is a bad risk and is likely to default on the loan will also be willing to take the loan at a very high interest rate. So bank can at that point of time check the background, which they obviously do, but that's specifically where they need to see that if they are seeking loans at such a high interest rate, what are their collateral, or what are their assets that are backing that loan. And there is a problem of moral hazard, wherein the people put their the personal cost over the social cost, which will happen post the transaction has taken place. That means after they have taken the loan. So keeping a check, like monitoring the screening process which takes place in the first step, after that the monitoring to see if they are actually using the loan in the intended purpose, and or if they are using that money to for the consumption which can never be retrieved, um, or that they are putting it in high risk securities, so that there will be a possibility to that there will be a possibility that they will default on the loan.
Yeah, so Garika, you have a good understanding about economics and national economics. So you could have also done great in term of economics-based career, like not directly to this basic or subjective economics, but you could have pursued environmental economics or other financial economics or other form of economics. So why regulatory? Why don't you pursue the career option where you are good at?
So I've always wanted to pursue a career in policy making, and that's the reason why I opted for economics uh, as my graduation subject, because it is the study or the science of managing the resources, making the ends meet. And uh, I initially wanted to go for policy making in the corporate sector, in a corporate setting where the policies are made for the firms, uh, after translating the ones that are made by the government in sync with the government. But when I was in my graduation and I was introduced to subject like public economics and development economics, they shifted my attention towards the policy making in the social sector. That's why.
I would like to know what are the interested component of regulatory which basically appeals, or which basically draw you towards it.
So, in this course, I will get to learn about the taxes and the subsidies, and the price controls, about the entries and exits of the firms, and the economic and environmental regulations. Also, that the incentives and penalties that are used by the regulators and the government to keep the actions or the activities of the firms in check.
Okay. So now I'd like to ask you about like what are the other interests that you have apart from studying economics, policy, or thinking about your career? What other interest, either academic or non-academic interest that you have?
So, my father has been very crucial or particular about health. So I like to keep myself up with that, like be it exercising, sports. I was also interested in basket. I also like playing basketball. I used to when I was in school. Haven't recently had an opportunity to. Uh, so anything that is related to health, that is.
Okay. And no other interest like any
Uh,
extracurricular activity or hobbies that you try to pursue other than study and health?
um, no, sir.
Okay. So don't you think that not pursuing any hobby or any other activities, not being involved in any other activities, basically narrows down your thought process, and you will not be able to widen your horizon? Because in
So,
regulatory or any other similar courses, you should have the understanding 360 degree. So how do you cope up? How do you think that you will be cope up with that missed or ignored awareness about the society and the surroundings?
so I actually see this as a hobby because, as we say that in a healthy body resides a
No,
healthy mind.
I got the point. There are two things that you are basically involved with. One is the studies, which is again the regular studies from college and preparation based, and second is your health. So if you are not into uh, watching movies, reading different books, or traveling or music, so probably you are missing many perspective about the society, about the economy, about the development, about anything around you, about different human emotions. So don't you think that this will lead uh, to a very dark spot in your career, because you as an individual are not fully aware about everything about the human, because all the policies also has human factor, and you are missing that those what I can say, those variables of human factor, which you pursue by different hobbies or involving yourself in different activities.
And sir, I like doing everything that you listed. I listen to music. I also read books. I watch movies and TV shows. Yes, I am a little not that open when it comes to talking to people, but I am working on that. And all of these things form a part of my everyday routine too, listening to music, reading
Okay,
books, and
so you could
watching
have tell
movies.
that before that you don't have hobby, but for recreation you are involved in many different activities.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, we can speak in that way also. Okay, so what books have you read recently?
The most recent book that I read was Eating in the Age of Dieting by Ruchita Tivekar, which
Okay,
is also a health related
health,
book.
other than health.
Um I read uh, one book that was it was a psychological thriller, The Silent Patient.
Okay, and written by whom?
Uh, so his first name was Alex. The second last name it's a difficult. It's a little difficult for
Okay,
me to.
and what are the movies that you have seen recently?
Um, the most recent movie that I saw was uh, I
Okay,
cannot recall. It's been a
leave
while.
the most recent movie, but one of the recent movies which basically impacted you most. Not recent, even whether we can talk about in the last 1 year, any movie that you have seen and has a very positive impact or negative impact on you?
Mm. So I recall the most recent movie that I saw was uh, The Shutter Island. It was a
Shutter Island.
thriller, and it was not.
So isn't it a very old movie to watch now? Or
It is, but I actually like watching old movies. My favorite era is from the 1980s, so I really like watching movies from that. It's not that old, but it's set in the older times.
okay. So any other movie or series?
Yes, my favorite TV series is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's a detective-based series, but it's comedy in genre. So I watch that a lot.
Okay. So Garika, enough for your recreational or hobbies. So now let's go back to your academic interest. So, like you are economics graduate, and regulatory is not just about economics. There are different other subjects which come together to help or be the base for the regulatory governance. So, can you tell me what are the other subjects which has its foundation in the regulatory or regulatory governance has its foundation which has been drawn from different subjects. So what are the other subjects which you have to frequently refer or will have to frequently refer or read?
So the very first one would be environmental science, and other one is political science, history. These subjects, because the regulatory is about controlling the behavior and the activities of the people, of the firms, and most of the times they do have an impact on environment. Economics is directly related to environment. If we pursue the economic interests and do not pay much attention to the environment, we are degrading it, which in further will only cost us more economically. So environment is a very crucial subject related to regulation. Political science, because there are a lot of laws out of which the regulatory, either the regulatory bodies or their functions are defined. So that, and the constitution, which is the basis for every law. And history, because it gives us a background on how everything that is came to being in every sector. So that's one.
चलो ओके थैंक यू गाइस सो इस बार तो बहुत अच्छा रहा तुम्हारा लास्ट टाइम से so you were quite confident and I never felt that मतलब you were thinking or you were having some fear in your back of your mind ऐसा कभी फील नहीं हुआ और कंटेंट के बारे में तो खैर इस बार हम ज़्यादा टेंशन लिए ही नहीं because your content is good, your understanding of subject or understanding or career alignment is also good. So only thing that could have done is like I brought very analytical questions to you, and I wanted to ask about any movies that to explain. So Shutter Island is very not cliche, but again I have the, there you have anything that will talk about Shutter Island will be good. So if you would have mentioned some other name, बहुत स्पेसिफिक होके पूछता मैं कि उससे क्या तुम्हारा इम्पैक्ट था बट एनीवे अदरवाइज
सर शटर आइलैंड के अलावा मैंने मोस्ट रिसेंट जो मूवी देखी थी उसमें ऐसे कोई इम्पैक्ट नहीं था, जैसे वो तो मार्वल की या डीसी कॉमिक्स की मूवीज होती हैं, बैटमैन वगैरह या फाइट
अच्छा
क्लब।
लेकिन बैटमैन का तो बहुत इम्पैक्ट है और फाइट क्लब का भी बहुत इम्पैक्ट है
तो मुझे
मतलब
फाइट क्लब अच्छी नहीं लगी,
वो जो क्या वो वही वाली ना जो एडवर्ड
जिसमें
नॉर्टन
वो खुद को
बैटमैन
इमेजिन करता है।
हाँ तो वो तो बहुत साइकोलॉजिकल थ्रिलर है वो तो उससे अच्छी तो मूवी मैंने बहुत मतलब ये होता है कि काउंट करे तो 10 नहीं मिलेगा उससे अच्छी मूवी एंड व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट बैटमैन बिगिन क्रिस्टोफर नोलान हैड चेंज्ड द इंटायर लैंडस्केप ऑफ सुपर हीरो मूवीज मतलब
यस सर।
उस मूवी को एज ए नॉयर रिप्रेजेंट करना एंड पुटिंग द इमोशन बिफोर एक्शन सीन इन एक सुपर हीरो मूवी है ना ये पहले कभी नहीं हुआ था इमोशन जो इमोशनल चैलेंजेस हैं या फिर एक एक गुड इविल का फाइट है मतलब आर्गुमेंटेटिव फाइट रेदर देन फिजिकल रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ फाइट। इस चीज को जितने अच्छे से दिखाया है ना, तीनों मतलब गुड इविल एंड द पुलिस, है ना, पुलिस फॉर बोथ, तो इसको बैटमैन बिगिन ने जितने अच्छे से दिखाया उतना तो हमने कभी देखा ही नहीं था। सो मतलब बैटमैन बिगिन